This video is to go over the Got It number 1 in lesson 12.2, the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, remember Pythagorean theorem, you can use the Pythagorean theorem anytime we're talking about right triangles and we need to find the length of a missing side. So our objective, I will use the Pythagorean theorem to find the length of the hypotenuse in a right triangle. Remember, the hypotenuse is the longest side opposite the right angle, and the other two sides, the shortest sides, next to the right angle, are called the legs. The legs have to be A and B, and the hypotenuse always has to be C. All right, so let's look at the Got It. It says, what is the length of the hypotenuse of a right triangle with legs of lengths 12 inches and 5 inches? Well, I don't have my triangle here, but it says, hint, first draw a picture of the right triangle and label the legs and the hypotenuse, and then use the Pythagorean theorem to solve for the missing hypotenuse side. So it says we have a right triangle. So we're going to draw a picture. Here's my right angle. And then it says the legs have lengths 12 inches and 5 inches. So let me label them. Here's a leg, 12 inches. That's a side that's attached to the right angle. And then the other leg is 5 inches. All right, so I have my two legs here. My two legs are 12 inches and 5 inches, right? They're the shorter sides. They're closest. They're next to the right angle. And then it says we have to find the hypotenuse. That's over here, because the hypotenuse is the side opposite the right angle. It's the longer side, the longest side. So remember, the hypotenuse has to be C. And then our legs are labeled A and B. If you want to label this one B and this one A, that's fine. The legs are interchangeable. As long as you have to have C, it has to be the hypotenuse. Okay, now we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared, right? Because we can use the Pythagorean theorem because we're dealing with a right triangle and we're looking for the length of the side. So now let's plug in. We have A squared. So we have to find what we labeled A, which is this side. We labeled the 12 inches A. So we have 12 squared plus B squared. Well, here's B is 5 inches, so it's going to be 5 squared. And then equals C squared. We don't know what C is. That's what we're trying to figure out. All right, so here we have 12 squared, which is 12 times 12, which is 144. So it's 144 plus 5 squared, we know is 5 times 5 is 25, equals C squared. Remember, we have to solve for C here. So to start doing that, we have two whole numbers, so let's combine them. 144 plus 25 is 169, and it equals C squared. All right, so here we have to get C by itself, but it's C squared. So to undo that square, we have to take the square root to undo it. Whatever you do the one side, you'd have to do the other side. And the square root of 169, right? We can use our calculator for these types of problems. You're going to, the square root, see the square root sign? And then you're going to type in 169, and then the equal sign, and it's 13, which means 13 times 13 equals 169. So we have 13 equals C. And in this case, it's 13 inches, right? Because we have to look at the units. We're talking about inches. So the length of the hypotenuse is 13 inches. Okay. Now that you have done the Got It, I want you to watch the video for example number 2 and take notes.